Hello everyone, it is I, your man Nipun Sharma, and welcome back to another video. Now these are the player ratings for every team that won in yesterday's and Saturday's quarter-final fixtures of the FA Cup. And those teams are Southampton, Chelsea, Manchester City and Leicester City. All the teams I mentioned are now through to the FA Cup semi-finals. So yeah, we've had some shock results. I say shock results, but are they really? I don't know. So yeah, I predicted Southampton to win against Bournemouth. I predicted Chelsea to beat Sheffield United. I predicted Everton to beat Manchester City after extra time. And I predicted Man United to beat Leicester City after extra time. And I got two right. Southampton and Chelsea I both got right. Now, with that being said, we move on to our first match. Southampton versus Bournemouth. So now we move on to Southampton's player ratings. So starting off in goal, Fraser Forster. He managed to get a good save in the opening half hour. Two additional first half catches. And he made a good low save immediately following one of the Saints' first substitutions. He gets a 9 out of 10 for me. Now we move on to the left back, a Champions League winner with Chelsea. Am I talking about Ashley Cole? No. Ryan Bertrand. If you guys didn't know this, he started in our Champions League winning team of 2012 in the final. And fun fact, that was the first time he ever played a game for Chelsea. So yeah, not sure what he did. Not sure what he did in the entirety of the first half. His shot from atop the box was so awkward, sending it wide. Very little defending was needed outside. And he launched himself at a header for no reason. An average afternoon for the Champions League winner. He gets a 6 out of 10. Now moving on to the centre-back. The first of two centre-backs, Yannick Vestergaard. A couple of very well-timed tackles from Bournemouth's, which dismantled Bournemouth's early attacks. Offered the opposition a line of credit just before the first half, but his teammates bailed him out. Earned a pointless yellow while trying to dribble out of pressure, and he was subbed before the end of the match. Likely because he didn't want to be he didn't want to receive a second yellow and miss the semi-finals. Now moving on to his centre-back partner in Jan Bentrack. He deserved credit for picking out Kyle Walker-Peters on a VAR disallowed goal. He looked very awkward in defence more than once in the opening half hour, and earned a yellow card via a stupid tackle. Very quiet in the second half as Southampton dominated play, and he was subbed off alongside his defensive partner in order to stop him from seeing a second yellow, which equals a red. So I'll give Yannick a 7 and Bentrack a 6. Now moving on to Kyle Walker-Peters. He was so important to the team for allowing an extra attacker. Was deemed offside by an arm's length on that disallowed goal, but that runs so critical to Southampton's success. Not much defending to worry about in this one, and made it through healthily. He gets a 9 out of 10. Now we move on to the midfielders. James Ward-Prowse. He cut open Bournemouth with some long passing, but they were often ill-timed and inaccurate. Takes a higher position than Diallo and presses, and his press was perfect in the centre, creating an opportunity for their third goal. Easy game for the midfielder, for the midfield pair, and Ward-Prowse continued to defy humanity with his ability to play for 90 minutes. He gets a 9 out of 10. Now we move on to the second midfielder, Ibrahima Diallo. A very calm presence in the centre of the pitch. Covered for Ward-Prowse with expert positioning as his partner got caught out. There were 3 opportunities to shoot, but none of them were close. Showed again that he is really good at turning out in pressure, as he looks a strong addition to the club and the midfield. He gets a 9 out of 10. Now, Stuart Armstrong. Three or four opening drives, masterminded, and one of them should have been in the back of the net. His pullback to Bertrand probably killed the best of the bunch, but to give it to Southampton to set up a defender on the wrong foot killed Che Adams' goal with a poor run offside. He was, in my opinion, Southampton's best player. And that wasn't even close. 10 out of 10, and my man of the match for Southampton. Now we move on to Musa Gen Genpo. I might have butchered that name. He spent most of the opening 30 minutes on the floor. probably incapable of playing simple, to the disappointment of his teammates. But the goal will do him wonders. But the overall performance showed that he was too much of a lone wolf. He gets a 5 out of 10. Now we move on to Che Adams, who recently declared for Scotland. Couple of nice bits to hold up. An indecisive layoff highlighted his first half. He was involved in a runner, but he did not sync up. The finish on the VAR goal was 100% confidence driven. Still, no one will be complaining about his performance though. He gets a 7 out of 10. Now we move on to Nathan Redmond. He did pretty much everything wrong in the first 30 minutes. Despite looking positive, running at goal, a poor back pass, an ill-timed slip, and a head-scratching heel on a short corner was just not good enough from him. But he did score. I think he scored 2. Yeah, he scored 2 in that game. So for that he gets an 8. Now we move on to the substitutes. Mohamed Salisu, not applicable. In fact, all the substitutes were non-applicable because they weren't on for long enough. So that's Southampton's player ratings done. Now we move on to my team, Chelsea. I predicted 3-0. It ended 2-0. And I think I predicted 4-0. Yeah. But boy did we make a meal of it. We made it so hard for ourselves. Something which should have been an easy game. And no disrespect to Sheffield United, by the way. But they're bottom of the league for a reason. So, we move on to our player rating. So, starting off in goal, to my shock, Kepa Arrizabalaga. And he's pretty much solidified his... should I really be shocked that he played Kepa in the FA Cup? He's basically our cup goalkeeper now. But I want to see... Having said that, I want to see Edouard Mendy start in the semis. So, yeah, the Spaniard has very much become our first choice for the FA Cup. And he started once again. And Edouard Mendy wasn't even in the matchday squad. Couple of routine shots from distance. Kepa saved in the second period. And he denied an effort from Oliver McBurney. Also denied a couple of chances for an equaliser in the second half. He gets a 7 out of 10. Now we move on to Andreas Christensen. After he missed after missing the victory against Atletico Madrid due to an illness, he was brought back into the side and played on the right of a back three. The Denmark international was largely untroubled by the position switch and won 2 important aerial duels, which all ended in promising Sheffield United attacks. And he was bought off after an hour. He gets a 7 out of 10. Now moving on to Kurt Zuma. A second successive start for the Frenchman. And he was deployed in the middle of a back three. There was one eye-catching moment from him in the first half, in which he used his body to leave Oliver McBurney on the floor. And in the second, he cleared a number of crosses into Chelsea's box, with one crucial in denying the Blades from grabbing a goal back. He gets a 7.5 out of 10. Now we move on to Emerson. This was the Brazilian Italian's second start with Thomas Tuchel as manager. And just as against Barnsley in the FA Cup in the 5th round, it was in the left of a back three. There was very little for Emerson to worry about in the opening period, with Chelsea in control of the ball and the game. In the second half, he was more involved in action as the Blades pushed forward in search for an equaliser. An equaliser. Yeah. He gets a 7 out of 10. Now, Callum Hudson-Odoi. He was brought back into the side as a right wing back. He struggled to have a major impact in the final third. He almost connected with an excellent pass from Billy Gilmore in the first half and flashed over a shot over the crossbar, having been teed up by Christian Pulisic in the second. And he was bought off for Kai Havertz in the latter stages of the game. He gets an average 6 out of 10. Billy Gilmore. Thomas Tuchel spoke about the under-21 international qualifiers for Scotland to the build-up of the game, and he handed Billy Gilmore a start against the Blades, and I believe that this is his first ever start under Thomas Tuchel. Gilmore's composure shone as he knocked passes on the pitch. One almost got Callum Hudson-Odoi in on goal. The 19-year-old showed the other side of his game in the second period with a 50-50 tackle on his fellow compatriot John Fleck, resulting in Gilmore coming away with the ball, and he was brought off with 18 minutes left to play, as Tuchel attempted to guide the Blues to the victory. 8 out of 10. Now we move on to Mateo Kovacich. Tuchel knows exactly what he is going to get from Mateo Kovacich now. And the Croatian international did not let the German down. There were customary runs forward with the balls to break lines, the smart passes and the quick link interceptions. It wasn't as good in the second half, as Sheffield United pushed for a winner, but he continues to be a reliable presence. 8 out of 10. Now, Ben Chillwell. He returned as a left wing back at the expense of Marcus Alonso. He played a crucial role in the Blues opener, as it was his low drive across the penalty area that was deflected in by Oliver Norwood. He was really slow after the interval. However, as Chelsea came under pressure, he gets a 7 out of 10. Mason Mount. The captain on the day. Mount played with his usual verve, but he wasn't able to have a huge impact on the final third. Although that was perhaps because of the number of different roles the England international was asked to fill during the 90 minutes. Mount started on the right of the front, but then he was moved into the centre of attack after Tuchel's first round of changes. Then he was dropped into the middle before going right to the right of the front three in the final 10 minutes. That versatility is so invaluable for a coach, and Mount was such a hard worker throughout. An average game for the England international, he gets a 6.5 out of 10. Olivia Giroud did not start. This has been his first start since he scored the away goal for us against Atletico Madrid in the first leg of the Champions League round of 16. So this was an opportunity for the World Cup winner to stake a claim. He didn't take it very well. And he rarely influenced our attacks. And he was bought off with half an hour left to spare. And Mason Mount continued to play the rest of the game in a false 9. He gets a 4 out of 10. Christian Pulisic. The Croatian American hasn't been able to produce much of this season, and he didn't against the Blades either. But today he was our most threatening player. Pulisic did excellent in the opening period to claim possession on the edge of Sheffield United's box and break the penalty area, but he was hesitant with his finish that allowed Aaron Ramsdale to save. After the break, one good dribble enabled him to beat 3 defenders and was able to break in the box, but his finish lacked conviction. And again, he was denied by Aaron Ramsdale. He would have had at least 2 goals today if he had a little more confidence in him. He gets an 8 out of 10 though. Now we move on to the substitutes. Cesar Haspel Equator. And he came on for Andreas Christensen. 62 minutes in. Introduced to help Chelsea see out the game, but was under pressure by the Blades. A 6 out of 10. Reece James came on for Olivia Giroud. Came in as a right wing back and got forward well. Wasn't able to fashion a chance at the end though. Another 6 out of 10. Hakim Ziyech for Callum Hudson-Odoi. And now this is what I call an impact sub. And he's starting to show his qualities that he showed at Ajax by scoring a goal in the dying seconds. That's 2-2 now for the Dutch Moroccan. So yeah, he killed the game off in the dying minutes. He had a huge impact. 8 out of 10. Kai Havertz, I'm just going to say it, a 6 out of 10. He was average. N'Golo Kanté. I'm not going to give him a rating. I think he came in. He came in after 10 minutes. He came in with only 10 minutes left, so I can't rate him. So yeah, now that's the Chelsea player ratings done. Now we move on to Manchester City, our semi-final opponents. Now they walked out 2-0 victors against Everton with late goals from İlkay Gundogan and Kevin De Bruyne. So, time to get started on the player rating. So starting off in goal, Zach Steffen. Started with great composure, but was fortunate that Aymeric Laporte stayed calm in the first half when he flew out of his goal and missed a clearance. Kyle Walker, an intelligent performance, using his experience to keep the flanks quiet. He looked happier when Mahrez came on to take up front of the space in front of him. He gets an 8 out of 10 and Zach Steffen gets a 7. Now we move on to Ruben Diaz. Richarlison and Calvert-Lewin are really tough strikers to play against. But Diaz kept them in his pockets. Diaz had Calvert-Lewin in his pockets. Laporte had Richarlison in his pockets. And he made sure City's lack of pace wasn't exposed. He gets an 8 out of 10. Now moving on to his centre-back partner in Aymeric Laporte. He prefers the ball to be on the floor rather than an aerial bombardment that he was subjected to. Wasn't always comfortable on the goal, but he looked good enough with the head. Good on a difficult evening and a surprise role in the goal. He gets an 8 out of 10. Alex Zinschenko. An important header from away off the danger in the first half when Richarlison's header glanced towards goal. Useful attacking option as well. 8 out of 10. Fernandinho. A clinic in how to boss a game from the base of midfield. Reading every move Everton made while also bombing forward in possession whenever the space opened up. 10 of the 10 and my man of the match. Worked himself into some promising positions, but his radar was a bit off for much of the game, prompting too many attackers to break down. In the right place when it mattered. Seven out of 10 for Ilkay Gundogan. Bernardo Silva, a few promising moments on the right flank, but struggled to weave way through the Everton defence and was the first to be subbed off. 6 out of 10. Raheem Sterling looked sharper than anyone on his first start since the derby and pushed the Everton keeper closer than anybody before the goal came after he had been taken off. 7 out of 10. Phil Foden, a little too honest for his own good again with the first penalty incident, but one of the players that troubled Everton the most with his willingness to shoot from range. 8 out of 10 for Phil Foden. Gabriel Jesus, awesome at winning back the ball, but unfortunately gave it away in the first place. An industrious performance, but not particularly threatening. 6.5 out of 10. Substitutes. Riyad Mahrez for Bernardo Silva. Made a difference with the way the team shifted, even if he didn't see much of the ball. 7 out of 10. Kevin De Bruyne, and he was subbed on for Raheem Sterling. Crucial part in the first goal, and then he gets his own. Just proves to you how much of a good player Kevin De Bruyne is. And he is the best midfielder in the world, by a long shot. 8 out of 10. No, actually, scrap that. 9 out of 10. Rodri for Ilkay Gundogan. Brought on to wind down the clock. And that was pretty much why the substitution was made. So yeah, no rating, because he wasn't on long enough or didn't do anything. So yeah, now those are the player ratings for Manchester City done. Now we move on to Leicester City's player ratings. So starting off, in goal, Kasper Schmeichel. Had little to do until a late Bruno Fernandes free kick, which was stopped superbly. 7 out of 10. We move on to the defence now. Wesley Fofana, most impressive in keeping United attackers quiet with ease. The exception was when Paul Pogba spun him and hung him out to dry for United's equaliser, which does mark down what was otherwise a flawless defensive display from the young Dynamo. If he is still at Leicester in 2 years, then he's either been injured for 2 years or Leicester will be Champions League regulars. Because this defender is destined to play at the highest level. Barcelona, Real Madrid, Bayern Munich, Man City, Chelsea, might I add. No stage is too big. 9 out of 10, and my man of the match. Now we move on to Johnny Evans. A solid display from the Northern Ireland international. 7 out of 10. Cagliari Soyuncu. Really impressive at handling United's attackers, especially when he had to make the recovery tackles. Kept their attack in his pockets. 9 out of 10. Mark Albrighton. Bombed well up and down the flanks and provided a delivery to set up Kelechi Iheanacho's second. 7 out of 10. Wilfred Ndidi, the Nigerian Busquets, as a lot of people would say. Dominant in the middle of the park. Broke up play from every United player who came in his zone. 8 out of 10. Yuri Tielemans. Incredible performance in the midfield. Tackled, passed, dribbled, and he was instrumental in the victory. And he scored Leicester's second goal with an incredible strike. And he gets a 9 out of 10. Timothy Castagne. He ran up and down his flank, protected it well against United's attempted incursions. He gets an 8 out of 10. Ayoze Perez did decently okay to cause trouble, but he was largely overshadowed by his teammates. 6 out of 10. Cold. Kelechi Iheanacho finished very confidently when Fred unintentionally set him up. He later took advantage of some more of bad defending from Man United. And then thumped in a header to kill the game off for good. 9 out of 10. Jamie Vardy had an early snapshot to test Dean Henderson, later missed a chance to kill the game off. Worked hard, but it wasn't his best game in a Leicester shirt. He gets a 5 out of 10. Substitutes. Dennis Pratt for Ayoze Perez. Didn't have much of an impact. 5 out of 10. Hamza Chowdhury for Jamie Vardy. 6 out of 10. Battled hard. And that is the end of my player ratings for the FA Cup quarter-finals. Now we move on to the manager ratings. So Ralph Hasenhüttl, I'm just going to go through them quickly because the video's gone on for quite some time now. So for Southampton, Ralph Hasenhüttl, 9 out of 10. Chelsea, Thomas Tuchel, 9 out of 10. Pep Guardiola for Man City, 10 out of 10. Brendan Rodgers for Leicester City, 9 out of 10. Manager of the quarterfinals, though, has to be Pep Guardiola, 10 out of 10. So, with that being said, my reactions video for the Premier League fixtures from the weekend and the weekdays will be out either tomorrow or the day after, so stay tuned for that. I may or may not do watch-alongs for the international break, so stay tuned for that if I do as well. So, with that being said, social media is in the description below. Please remember to like, share, comment, subscribe, and turn on the bell notifications if you haven't already. And I shall see you in the next video. You have been a wonderful audience, and this is Nipun Sharma signing off. Take care of yourselves. Peace. Up the Chelsea, and London is blue. And I'm out of here.